As you know, I'll be speaking about India at 100 and the opportunities for the rail sector. Before telling you the story, which I've told many times, of the Vande Bharat Express, very briefly, in the Merchant of Venice of Shakespeare, Portia at one stage says that if to do were as easy as to know what were good to do, if to do were as easy as to know what were good to do, chapels had been churches and poor man's cottages, princesses' palaces. So it's not my place to come to you and lecture about something, ... I'll not do that. Before I begin, 2-3 caveats. I'm not a great speaker, so I borrow a lot from my poet uncles over the centuries. From India, as well as I have an English uncle also called Shakespeare. There is a time regime, I guess. Rashi, so how much time do I have? You're making a big mistake, but nevertheless, please remember, I am a railway man for life, and it is my inherent right to be derailed. So any time regime is not going to make a difference. I have told this story many times, so I begin it with the belief that the wine of this story is like good old men who mature with age and do not turn to vinegar. When I ask people as to, I have a problem speaking to people because how to deliver the same story again and again. So I'm told that what you should do is make a good mix of original and good. Fair enough. The problem is what is original is not good, and what is good is not original. So the MC has already told you about the great romance and the legacy of Indian Railways, and she took us back, took you back 20 years. I had to go back 60 years, as I said, to relive that romance as the wonder, the magic, the marvel of Indian Railways and India passed you by, desolate, crowded, indolence, sloth, celebration, joy, mourning, pathos, hard work, grind, whatnot, so that the journey itself becomes the objective, not the destination. But it's not about that romance today. It was more about this. Is why is the recall of the Indian Railway trains over the centuries had not changed. Color had changed from Gulf red to blue, some more AC coaches and so on. But the recall, the image remained same. And long back, before I joined Railways, those 60 years, a little bit less maybe, there was this angst as to, with such a large network, fourth as we call it today, why is it that we don't have, with a large pool of engineers and so on, a modern, aesthetically superior, speedier, technologically advanced train? And that remained kind of a dream and an angst. Which brings me to these wonderful words of the people's president, that dream is not the thing you see in sleep, but is that thing that doesn't let you sleep. So a little bit about dreams. It's good to have dreams. All of us who have not lived our dream, we tell youngsters, go out in the world and live your dream. I modify it to say that you have to first look after your family, your health, your spirit, and your friends. Having done that, yes, there would be a time to live your dream. Never let the dream die. Let it not be extinguished. Let it linger somewhere. An opportunity would come to you at some stage to realize that dream. You know about Make in India. You also know about Atmanirbhar Bharat. Came COVID, the government rejigged Make in India to Atmanirbhar Bharat with the aim that these lions of Make in India would roar into self-reliance. So, and money in people's pocket, collateral-free loans, infusion, liquidity infusion, and so on, which I don't understand. I'm sure some of you do. Nevertheless, the spirit of Atmanirbhar Bharat is perhaps missed at times. Let's talk of railways. So everything that moves on rails in India is now manufactured in India, practically everything. But the brain, the technology is not Indian. It was called what I call an oxymoron through some transfer of technology at some stage, transfer of drawing specifications and so on. But in spite of passage of decades, we are not able to manufacture to the quality we imported. And the reason is that any technology, ladies and gentlemen, is a creation which lives not only in the mind but also the heart of the creator, and there is no way to transfer that. मेरे शेर आईना खाने में तेरी बेशुमार अदाओं के, I can go poetic about your beauty. मेरे शेर आईना खाने में तेरी बेशुमार अदाओं के, मगर ऐसी भी है कोई अदा जो रहेगी सीना इराद में. There is something which will remain buried in the recesses of my heart. There is no way to transfer that. We are stuck between being mindlessly global and hopelessly local. The truth, to my mind, is somewhere near being local, unless the gap is too large. But hopefully local, not hopelessly local. There is this pride and ownership of your own creation, your technology, which can make you do 120, 130% more than what you are otherwise capable of. And that should be the key of Atmanirbhar Bharat. And I said, unless the gap is too large. If the gap is too large, I'm not foolish enough to say that you can still do it. Perhaps you need crutches, you need some kind of arrangement which should be a meaningful learning and not a mere oxymoronish transfer of technology. This is, in one slide, the entire story of Vande Bharat before I come to the opportunities in railway sector. So first thing is, the story when it began, the first was very easy in a railway or in a government organization which has rubbed off in private sector. If you are willing to just break the hierarchy, the protocol, the propriety, the feudal way of working, half your battle is won. That's the kind of walls we have built between the administrator and the administered. The key being, एक लफ्ज़ से मोहब्बत का अदना ये फसाना है, एक लफ्ज़ से मोहब्बत का अदना ये फसाना है, सिमटे तो दिले आशिक, फैले तो ज़माना है. My uncle has also said, in Coriolanus, if I remember correctly, that action is eloquence. What you do speaks. But if you speak without doing, it's only empty eloquence. Our problem today is we are buried in PPT slides and speaking without actually delivering. I'll not go beyond that. Another thing we have learned from Japanese and Germans that there should be ideation, so Kaizen, quality circle. So the leaders want to talk. They don't want to hear or listen. Or even if they hear, they don't listen. And the idea the leader has is pushed down, which has to emerge as the ideas of those administered. For an idealess man like me, like you go to a new job, the two things you need is an agenda for yourself. It's a new job, you don't know. And a team. About team we'll come later, but how to build an agenda, it's very simple. Just listen. Every man has ideas. You have to encourage it, not demand, command, cajole, ridicule, patronize, just encourage it. You will have a huge agenda and you can choose whatever you want to do. Another problem, when the Indians started coming to power in British days, they were not to be trusted. Therefore, a system of mistrust and distrust is still in place 75 years after independence. The English checked us with rules, regulations, audit, vigilance, and so many things, and we still have the same system of governance. It's time to give trust a chance if we really want to be developed India at 100. One little example, 5,000 plus parts go into a train like Vande Bharat. I, as the GM, said that the chief design engineer mechanical and the chief design engineer electrical are the last word. So the GM, the HODs, the finance, the stores, mere rubber stamps. Nobody has the power to overrule these two. And the good engineers that the two were, one can never say that supply chain doesn't come in way of your project. It does. But in this project, it never became such an hindrance that it could significantly impair the tight time schedule that we had. As the leader, I had the option to keep cursing. As we have these large circle of concerns, we forget the small dot of influence. We are so consumed by these concerns. So all of us have a small dot. Maybe Modi ji has a much larger dot, but we also have a dot if we concentrate on that. Why curse the darkness all around you? Simply try to remove some darkness near you. Shikwa zulmat shab se kahin behtar tha. Shikwa complained, zulmat darkness shab evening. Shikwa zulmat shab se kahin behtar tha कि अपने हिस्से की एक क्षमा जलाते जाते. This was what drove me and the great team that I was bequeathed with. I had nothing to do there. Given a chance, I won't change one member of that great team that I got. They had ennui, boredom written on their faces, doing more of the same. And they had this great urge to do something out of the box. All I needed was to channelize that energy. Respect women should not be a lip service. Frailty, thy name is no longer women. We started by removing, within 24 hours, given the powers of 14(2) given by the government of India, when a complaint came of any sexual harassment at work. I won't go into detail. The powers are available, we never use it. Simply because we could write that no inquiry is possible, because we don't want the lady employee to relive through that horror once again. Let him go to court. We are not Chief Justice of India, we are simple administrators. 180 kilometers per hour train with everything under the board, everything above the board left for passenger amenities. Never been done earlier. If we do it, who will be the scapegoat? If we succeed, we'll bask in that glory, the team said. But if we fail, who's the scapegoat? I said, you can make me a scapegoat because I'll be retiring much before all of you in December 18. This was in April of 17. And in any case, what will they do to a retired person? So I was wrong, actually, they tried. But nevertheless, that didn't work. Our doubts are traitors, which make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. Because we have defined success. We take up a work and there is an outcome of value, that is success. But if you give your best, your passion, your commitment, your hard work, your everything, your life, you have succeeded. Outcome may not be in your favor, but if you keep doing that, success would come your day. First time you may fail, second time you may fail, it has to come your way. But that fear of that outcome of value prevents us from doing that. गिरते हैं शह सवार ही मैदान जंग में, वो तिफल क्या गिरे जो घुटनों के बल चले. Then I said, we are stuck between, as you said, mindlessly global and hopelessly local. So we have two types of people. You'll find people who say, हम सब कुछ कर सकते हैं इंडिया में. और बहुत talent है, बहुत knowledge है, बहुत कुछ भी कर लेंगे. Or they end up doing nothing. Then we have people who think we can do nothing. वो सब कुछ बाहर हो चुका है, वो ले आओ. Actually, realization should be how much we can do. Increase it by 20%, that's your challenge. If you increase it by 100%, like high-speed train today, we are not there to do it, design and build, no. We have to go step by step. 180 किया है, 220 करोगे आप, फिर 250 करोगे, तब 320 पे जाओगे. It's better to be, as my uncle said, be a witty fool than a foolish wit. A fool doth think he is wise, but a wise man knows himself to be a fool. We realized there were 2-3 areas where we needed help. किसी कंपनी से टेक्नोलॉजी लेनी नहीं थी. So we went to consultants and it worked wonderfully. They helped us design with our people. Know how as well as know why, sitting together, so that next time you want to design a train for 200, 220, our people should be equipped and confident to do that. Last, so the uncle, he used to speak through characters, so he can say that Mr. Ashish here is good and another character may say he's bad. It's possible, he is non-committal. So better 3 hours too soon than a minute too late, or wisely and slow, they stumble that run fast. अब यहाँ दिक्कत ये थी कि लोगों ने कहा भाई दिसंबर 18 में आप रिटायर हो रहे हो, इस प्रोजेक्ट में फ्रॉम कॉन्सेप्ट टू डिज़ाइन टू मैन्युफैक्चर टू डिलीवर वैलिडेट प्रूव आउट 36 से 42 महीने लगते हैं और लगने चाहिए. दैट्स द सिस्टमैटिक वे ऑफ वर्किंग. आप रिटायर हो जाओगे, मैन्युफैक्चर शुरू नहीं हुआ होगा, ट्रेन प्रोजेक्ट अबैंडन हो जाएगा. मैंने कहा हाँ प्रॉब्लम है, उसका एक ही तरीका है. तरीका ये है दैट we are Indians, our minds may not be where the German mind is, but we can work like donkeys, burn our midnight oil. We will do what has never been done in the world earlier. Beginning in April, we will turn out the train in 2018 before I retire. And to make sure, to remind everyone that the train is going out in 2018, we are giving it a name today. And that's how this name Train 18 came about. Rest, it was actually delivered in October 18, and I won't go into the rest of the story, you know that. I will now come to my last 5 minutes about what's the opportunity today. So look at this. The good news about railway finances is that it's not very bad. But the bad news is that it is worse. You know all these tables, but basically what it's saying, operating ratio around 100%, kept there. The realistic one is actually higher. Accounting, some pension कम कर दिया, depreciation कम कर दिया, वो 100 के नीचे रख लिया. Freight traffic in an economy growing at the rate of 7 to 8% should grow at 12% at least, is growing at 3 to 4%. Passenger billion tons, actually billion kilometers, Mr. Khandelwal told you, we are nowhere near the pre-COVID levels. So earnings going down, but there is another aspect to it. First of all, why railways? You all know railways are 8 to 10 times cleaner than road and air. 6 to 10 times depending upon which type of railways and so on. And it's cheaper. So for the overall logistics cost of the country, which is hovering at 13-14%, which makes the manufacturing sector suffer because logistic cost is high, exports become difficult, competitiveness is gone. We have to bring it to the level of 7-8% the world over standard. And the government has the intention and the policies today to do it. Towards that policy, this is actually what's happening. Today our share is, here it says 27%. I think with this year's growth only by 4%, it would have come down to 25 to 26%. And this is what we can. Coal has not gone down, fortunately for railways, maybe not fortunately for the country, and is not going to go down for next some years in sight because of whatever reason, not so much of regenerative power and so on. So we will survive. But once coal goes down, this is going to be drastically reducing, whereas our aim is to go to 50%. And we are actually sliding every year, even including this year. There are policies, freight area reforms, terminals, last mile, first mile connectivity, new wagon designs, Maybe even, government has still not said, bringing in private sector to run trains just like container trains, and so many other things which I have listed here. But this is the good news. Mr. Khandelwal talked to you about it. In spite of this poor performance financially, the government has a lot of confidence in railways, or rather, government finds it inevitable to invest in railways from what used to be 40,000 crore 10 years back is 2.6 lakh crores. And who knows, in this budget, it may actually go up. And why they believe that for the economy to grow, don't view the railways finances in isolation. View the entire scenario of the country, and therefore railways are essential. Now, it is still not giving the returns. We hope it will give in future, but nevertheless, for investors, there has never been a better time to invest in railways. And going by the way this government works, it's still going to go up. You can just look at that graph and know what I'm doing, what I'm saying. This was the last news yesterday I read in Economic Times. So the government, there are two ways they generate capex. So one is general budgetary support. With the budget having been merged, it's a grant, no interest. And then you generate some resources through extra budgetary EBR, through IRFC or other whatever. Those are borrowings on which you pay interest. That has mounted so much over the years that the interest burden has increased. So government has reduced it to 10,000 crore last budget. It may remain around that. But what was 2.5 is likely to be 2.6. They must have their sources. They have put this in news. Maybe it's not readable, but it's just, I can pass it on to people who want. It basically shows which are the areas in which this 2.6 lakh crores is going. Various, construction, electrification, rolling stock. I can give it to you, Ashish, don't worry. So many areas, including some allocation to PSUs for DFC and high-speed rail and so on. I'll sum up by saying, so what are the opportunities? Let's say, of course, because you have to build more rolling stock, you have to build more bridges and so on. So traditional mechanical fabrication, castings, advanced materials. In railway factories, Industry 4.0, which exists only in name. Somebody comes and loads something on a machine and that's the end of it. It's quite a travesty of Industry 4.0 in railway factories, but someday it has to come. Traditional electrical, obviously, motors, transformers and so on. Kavach, you all know the heat it has generated and the slow rollout of Kavach. I can only say this. 3 years back, we decided we are not going to ETCS level 2. That's the European system. We are going to Kavach. One would think that decision was taken in the belief that Kavach has matured and they are confident of rolling it out. That has not happened. Maybe it will happen in future, but it has not happened so far. Either the government is not confident, I really don't know. If that is so, then let ETCS level 2 also be employed on some section while Kavach matures. Or if they are confident, let Kavach be done at the rate of 4,000 to 5,000 kilometers per year. It's possible. To blame the industry for lack of capacity is self-defeating. It is our job in railways to generate that confidence among the industry, and they will rise. If you don't give them confidence, if they don't give them assurance, they are not going to put up a lot of investment just because you want it. So you cannot blame industry. First, give them the confidence to do it. It's very simple. That these accidents also let me believe that there is a great scope for artificial intelligence application. Perhaps it is being done in commercial area. If not by IRCTC, not by railways, the private operators are doing it. Today on your ticket, they give you a probability percentage of your ticket maturing. They are using obviously IRCTC data or some other data to know. Based on that data, you have a 95% chance of your ticket maturing into. whatever. This is just an example. I'm not going into the commercial part. The safety part. Huge data exists. Every locomotive, every train has a computer, a microprocessor, with hundreds of parameters recorded. And landing on some server somewhere, digital data exists. Every station has data loggers and axle counters, huge data again. Movement of a train, minute by minute, kilometer by kilometer, stopping at which signal, for how much time, when did it start, at what speed, everything is available. But it's not used for any alert generation of any meaning. It's used for post-mortem. That's such a shame. Okay, past is past. Today, and these data are not collated. Time is to collate this data, and wonderful gems of alerts will come. Not flooding of nuisance alert, but meaningful. And I'm telling you, if those alerts reach the top level management, safety would automatically increase because culture would be developed. When this accident happened in latest one, Kanchenjunga or others, although I have no data to say, but I'm quite sure this was followed by 50 near misses. You want to know those near misses? Manually not possible. AI can tell you, and it can really help in building safety. I'll quickly close. Other areas, obviously, digitalization, high-speed trains. There is a talk of building your own high-speed train with a unrealistic target of 1 year. Cannot happen. With commitment and leadership, it can happen in 3 to 4 years. Otherwise, it will remain on paper. But nevertheless, an opportunity and a thinking that we should do our own. New wagon designs is going to come up, whether through industry or railways and so on. Predictive and condition-based monitoring, maintenance, is again remained a hype or a fad. Once again, Ashish, I have to take your name, but inevitable, it has to come. Meaningfully, but someday that dawn will come. Right now, it's not being used, except a fad, but it has to come. And so many other things, tracking and locating rolling stock, allied applications, smart infra, obviously green solutions for stations, for trains and so on. And as I said, commercial applications. So there are so many in spite of a very, very kind offer from Madam here, I have to close. But individually, I'm available if I could be of any use related to the subject. I don't know all of them, but I can always find a resource. He knows all of them. I close with these great share of Iqbal that सितारों के आगे जहां और भी हैं, अभी इश्क के इम्तिहान और भी हैं. Thank you very much.